Hey guys, it's Jonathan from Limit Break Lifestyle Academy, and today I have a special guest with me on an interview. He is a speaker, entrepreneur, and author, Steve Woody. Thank you so much for coming on to interview, for me to interview you.
Thank you, man. I'm honoured, man. I'm honoured to be here. Thank you.
No, it's great to have you. We've seen you speak on stage at Les Brown, seen you speak at various events. It's a huge honour for us to have you on here to share your experience and your story to our audience, and I really appreciate that you taking the time out to do it.
Oh man, anything for you guys. I think you guys are amazing, and I love what you're doing, and you know the whole academy that you've got going on. It's brilliant, and I kind of wish it was around when I was starting out. I just sort of bumbled, but just sort of bashed through, kind of grabbing onto whatever was there, and I suppose really when I started, there was a lot of people that were trying to sell the dream, but not many people are actually showing you how to live it, properly, and how to get the best out of it.
Oh,
yeah, I've got a lot of time for you guys. I love what it is you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. I remember being sold this journey of a dream.
A lot of people have, and it's a shame because it's real and it's out there, and people can have it if they want it. It's just sometimes when things are wrapped up in a certain way, it's not what it seems to be. So
exactly,
yeah, it takes people like us to actually, do you know what I mean, pull the blindfold off people and say, well, look, it's there. It's hard work,
Great. So let's start off with some of your results that you've had over the past year, I suppose. Like, what a journey for those that I know your story, of course, but like just seeing, right? I know it's been like,
yeah, I mean it's a good year. 2015, it saw a lot of changes. I mean, I got into personal development in 2011, sort of at the end of 2011, and I'd say like the first 2 years, so like 2012, 2013, was a lot of learning and a lot of just soaking up information. I mean, I used to go to bed and have like my earphones in, listening to like Tony Robbins. Like, I'm gonna learn this with my sleep. I was like, really trying to take it in, like every opportunity to just absorb everything, to the point where I kind of burnt out from overload. I learned so much, and it was like took so much in. And then that was sort of like 12, 13. 2014 was kind of like trying to apply it and then making mistakes. The regression phase, when you do something and then you fall back.
Yeah. And
you normally fall back below where you was before, and so it was that whole like roller coaster of going up and down. And then 2015, it just started to click. Things just really started to sort of, I think more than anything, it happened subconsciously. Like, it wasn't anything where I was like, oh, that's it. It just clicked. Something just happened, and I just changed. And so I started to sort of vibrate on a higher frequency, and when I did that, I started to attract things that I wasn't attracting before.
Yeah.
I think like when you focus on something, whether you're focusing on it consciously or unconsciously, you'll navigate towards it. And so at the beginning of 2015, I met a lady who I'm now married to. She's my wife. So I got married last year. That was amazing. I got to speak on stage with Les Brown. I launched my online course. I published my book.
Yeah.
I become a bestseller, and then I become a bestseller in 5 categories on Amazon, and then I become an international bestseller.
Wow.
So that was a real achievement for me. And yeah, I mean, I started to transition, and I moved away from working and like my time for money, because where I was a sort of a website developer before, the only way I could earn money was building websites. Yeah. And I was kind of stuck in that loop of, I would work, and I wouldn't promote myself because I'd be working.
Yeah.
And then I'd finish working and I wouldn't have any work because I hadn't been promoting myself. So I'd go crazy promoting myself, and I'd get a load of work come in, and then I'd only be able to take on a certain amount. And so I was like always swinging from one to the other, and it was like this pendulum. And last year was the first time that I managed to actually break that cycle. And I took a few months out of work, and it was really tough, like cash flow really, it was difficult. But what it did is it allowed me to build up my online presence and my online courses, and it allowed me to put the systems in place that I've been putting in place for other people for so long. I finally got to put them in place for myself.
Yeah.
because I've been doing it for a long time, like for years for clients, and watching them get great results. And it's like working in a bank and counting money. You know, it's
doing stuff for other people.
It's not your money. So like last year, was the first opportunity that I had to actually start making money residually, and to see that money coming in now every single month and build upon that was. It was a phenomenal year, and there was lots of other things that happened as well, which were great, they're absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's definitely laid the foundation for this year, and I mean, already I've had the most successful month of my life this month.
Wow, congratulations!
So yeah, I mean, it's already upward. It's looking good.
Cool. And what really made you push you into doing what you do?
That's a great question. What really pushed me? I would say for me, it was an identity crisis.
Right.
So I didn't mean to do what I do. It was never like I was young and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I think anybody that has a level of success in their life, and however you measure that, mm-hmm. I think that whatever that may be, the only way that people have success, and I mean genuine, sustainable success. I'm not talking about a one-hit wonder, or people that are unethically trying to be successful and promoting themselves. I'm talking about if you've got sustained ethical success. Normally, that derives from some form of pain or suffering, or you've hit rock bottom and bounced up. Like that saying, like the only way that you can shoot an arrow is to pull it back.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I think that when I went through my transformation, if you like, my journey back in 2011, and it's there's a string of events that led up to me being where I am now, and it was that in 2011 when I had an identity crisis, and I was like, I need to do something.
How did you get into having an identity crisis?
It's a great question. I had a business. I had a partner at the time. Everything was going really well. We was selling T-shirts. I had a house, and I'd had a job, and then we had a business, and everything was going really well, and then everything just come crashing down. My partner at the time realised that we weren't meant to be together, and so we split up, and I took that quite hard at the time. And my family, I tore my family apart through gambling, mm-hmm. and then at the same time, I sort of pushed myself away from them and alienated myself from absolutely everyone. I went on self-destruct. And so in 2011, not only did I find myself homeless for the third time, I also found myself with a 2-year-old daughter through a previous relationship, not talking to my family. I had no support network, no money, and I kind of hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'd hit low points before that I thought were rock bottom, but that was kind of like the point. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do or who I was, and I'd settled. I wasn't where I wanted to be in life, but I'd settled. I was comfortable, and for me, it was almost like a life raft at that point in my life, because when I come out of the army and I'd been homeless 3 times and lived in a car for 6 months, and there was a whole the whole backstory of going downhill and the gambling and the bankruptcy and everything that took me to that point.
And how long was you in the army for?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years. So that whole thing took me down to this point when I always thought, oh, this is as bad as it's been, this is as bad as it's been. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to that point in 2011, and I was like, right, I've got no one around me, I've got nothing around me, I'm literally at rock bottom with nothing. I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want to do.
So is this when you came out of the army?
I came out of the army in 2006.
Right.
So this is after. I mean, I've been up and down,
right.
relationship and back and forth, moved around a lot. And so for me, that identity crisis was born out of that. When I walked away from the business, walked away from my family, I had no one there. It was like, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. What do I do? And so I actually registered. I had this crazy idea that I would register my name as a limited company.
Right.
It was the stupidest thing I could have done. I had no business. I had no plan. I was like, I'm just going to register my name. And so I registered Steve Woody Limited.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was grasping out for anything that I could do. I just knew I didn't want to go to work. Mm-hmm. I just knew I didn't want to work for someone. I wanted to do it for myself. And yeah, I mean, that's what I went to an event in December 2011. And it was that event that kind of changed everything. There was something that happened at that event, and it just... It was the springboard that sort of got me to where I am today.
Right, okay. And was that... So you were suffering from identity crisis. That was your why? and in a way you must change. What made it really as a must for you to change?
For me, at the time, it was my daughter.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind being homeless.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked it in a way because there was nothing lower than that in my eyes. So to me, I couldn't fall any lower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had no one to answer to, no one to worry about me, and it was kind of like I could survive.
Yeah.
I knew I could get by, and I knew I was good at survival.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always been good at survival, and for that reason, being homeless meant I was good at something.
Was that all the skills that you learned from the army?
Partly, yeah, and partly because I'm just a persistent little bugger, and I'm like a donkey. I just never give up. You know, I'll never stop breathing. I'll just keep going. I'm reluctant in that sense. So for me, it was almost a comfort being homeless, if that makes sense. It's really strange. And so I got used to it, and it wasn't until 2011 when I sort of went down, registered myself as homeless, and I was like, I have a 2-year-old daughter. There is no way on this planet I'm going to put her through what I've been through. She doesn't deserve to go through what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm responsible for another human being, and the world is a shit place.
Mm-hmm.
It is, if you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's also a beautiful place, if you want it to be. And it's your perception, it's how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way that I was going to have my daughter growing up with people telling her that the world was a shit place. There was no way I was going to have my daughter growing up knowing that her dad had failed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if there's anybody on this planet that has the ability to teach my daughter the good things that are out there, it's me. That's my job. It's my duty. So that kind of that give me the fuel, like that lit the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there it's sort of as I said, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, that's for sure.
And what would you say were your biggest challenges that you had on the way?
Biggest challenges? Wow. It's interesting because my wife did a talk last year in Barcelona for her profession, and we were spitballing some ideas, and we were talking about the talk that she was going to give, and we come up with a phrase together, and it was really interesting because what she says in her phrase is that she was working in the real world and she was living online.
Yeah.
And her message and her purpose is to transform that and flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
So now she works online and lives in the real world. And so it sounds so simple, but what we realised in that is that the challenge for people to make that flip, that's all it is, just a flip, is she said that she's travelled all over the world. And she travels all over the world and works all over the world, and the biggest distance that she has had to travel in her life is from there to there.
Right.
It's the distance in her mind. And so for me, the biggest challenge I've had to overcome is myself.
Yeah.
Getting out of my own way is my biggest obstacle. Still to this day.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. It's the if you could hear the way that I sometimes talk to myself, like if you took my internal voices that are in my head and you put that into a vocal conversation between two people, you would have to step in because you would be like, what's going? You don't talk to people like that, you know. It's harsh the way that I used to talk to myself, and what I suppose really that's actually part of the thing that's helped me, because I'm fearless in the way that nobody can talk to me in a way that is worse than how I've talked to myself.
Right.
And so there is nothing that you or anybody can say that can hurt me more than I've already hurt myself. And so I have no fear in that sense, and that's why I can do the things I do, and regardless of whether people like it or not, that's their opinion. That doesn't bother me anymore.
So overcoming your mindset.
Absolutely. If you overcome your mindset, you overcome everything. Everything that we have, our habits, our subconscious, our lifestyle, where we are, what we do. You know, if you end up homeless, you can blame it on an external force. Oh, I lost my job. That's, you know, oh, the market's crashed. Should have invested better. You know, should have diversified your portfolio. You know, you should have had assets in place. When you blame yourself, when you get to the point and you say, okay, it stops with me. I'm the reason. There's nothing else. There's no one behind me. There's nothing else. It's me. I made a poor decision and I accept that, and it was my fault. When you take that blame on, and I'm not saying you should beat yourself up about it, But when you accept that blame, that gives you the power and the ability to say, right, I fucked up. How do I overcome it?
So taking the responsibilities
to change it. Mm-hmm. Then you start asking yourself better questions. Then you start doing things differently. That's how it all switched for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
But at the time, man, that didn't happen overnight.
Well, nothing happens overnight. People just...
Unless you buy the dream, of course.
Yeah, unless you buy the dream, you know, it's overnight success. It's just like, okay.
And that's the thing for me, is it's like, you can keep doing something over and over and over again, but until you're in the right place at the right time and hear the right message, then it clicks. It could be something you've heard 100 times, and then someone just says it slightly differently, and you're like, oh my God, that's it. And then you look back and go, and the penny drops, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I'll always go to events. That's why I keep going to the same place. That's why I keep hanging around with the same people, because I know that I'm lifting my sort of conscious level, and I know that I'm getting better every day. And the people I'm around, you know, I surround myself with like-minded people. I love to be the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah. Because
I like to surround myself with people that are going places, because that allows me to strive to be better. Because people aren't going to... I don't want to hang around with people that aren't motivated, or that moan, or that, you know, have problems, or that, you know, we all have problems, but if you focus on them, I've got my own problems. What do I want to hear about yours? You know, so I'm very selective as to where I spend my time and energy.
So that's one of your solutions or methods to surround yourself with environment.
Everything. Right, your mindset can only take you so far, but if you hang around the same people, you will become like that person. You know, I mean, yes, okay, you hear these stories about rags to riches, where it's like people are in a really bad place and they come out of that. Yeah, I agree. But if you're in an environment where, and this happens a lot, and it happens to me at times as well. I mean, you know, I love my family to bits, but sometimes the way they talk to each other, I just don't agree with the way that, you know, they communicate.
Yeah.
But it's up to me whether I take that on or not. You know, I mean, it's exactly the reason I bought these, because I know that I can put my headphones on and I can zone out.
Yeah.
So there's always a way to deal with it. You know, I could sit there and say, oh, things are really bad because, where I am at the moment, but bullshit. So for me, if you change your environment, you can change your mindset. And if you can change your mindset, you can change your world.
So it's the same when you do on Facebook, isn't it? When you clean out your Facebook friends.
Yeah, there's nothing better than having a cold. Going through, where did you come from? Goodbye. No, normally, like, people are like, you know, all this talk about, you get all this talk about Donald Trump. This is a great example. All this talk about Donald Trump that's going on at the moment. I love it, because it gives me an opportunity to see the people that are just wasting their time, and I can just get rid of them. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care about trivial media propaganda nonsense. That I have no... People say the world is becoming a bad place. I don't believe that, personally. And it's an opinion, but I don't believe it. I don't believe the world is becoming a bad place. I think the world is exactly what it has always been.
Yeah.
I think that our communication has opened up so that we perceive a lot more of it. And so because we're susceptible to things that happen in Iraq, in Syria, in China, in, you know, all over the world. You know, please share this thing because my kid's gone missing in a school. That's terrible. I hate that. It's not nice. Or there's a shooting in America. We never used to hear about that. You know, 10, 20 years ago, when you had the local news channel, you only heard about what went on in your area or your country.
Teletext, you mean?
Yeah, unless it was a major global event.
Yeah.
But now, because it's like we're so connected, we hear and feel everything. And because we are energy, we feel that vibration. So if someone else's vibrational level is low because they're going through a shit time, it affects us.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we should block everything out, but I do think you need to filter things, you know. Shit will always happen. Bad things will always happen. And I'm not saying that I don't like that bad things happen, but they do. People die.
Yep.
Things go missing. People get hurt. It's a horrible thing, but it happens.
Yeah, it's part of the journey.
Take that on.
Yeah.
If I took on all the world's pain, I'd never move. I'd be frozen still with fright.
Yeah.
So I have to be subjective as to what I take on board. And, you know, if something happens to a friend or a loved one or someone within my influence and my circle, then of course I'm compassionate, I have empathy and sympathy, but I have to be very careful about where my energy goes.
Yeah.
And that's why I choose not to, you know, I don't read the papers, I don't look at my Facebook news feed, I don't care about what's trending, I don't care about news articles, I don't care about all this hype. And the thing is, that's the stuff that's real. What about the BS that's out there and the things that are pretending to be real, just to, you know, clickbaiting and light baiting and just getting you to look at them.
Yeah.
And all these hoaxes and phony channels and this fake news. No one knows what's real or not anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's the thing, is we get caught up in that. We all get caught up in that, and so it's just about being really, like you said, about being really mindful about your environment, especially on things like social media.
Mm-hmm. And who did you learn from? Who did you admire when you was young?
That's a great question, and to be honest, when I was younger, I don't know. I don't really remember any idols when I was younger. I didn't really aspire to be anything or do anything. I didn't know. I mean, even when I went into the army, I mean, not really. I mean, there were people that I used to listen to, like, you know, I always admire people like Eminem for his music and how lyrically I think he's really gifted. And there were people like that and things that I used to like. But in terms of like business, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anyone motivational or inspirational.
So who did you learn from?
I think the first, I would say the first exposure that I ever had to sort of personal development when I was unaware of what personal development was Steve Pavlina. And he had a personal development for smart people.
Right.
And I remember I used to read some of his stuff because he did a lot of stuff on sleep apnea and a lot of stuff on, you know, if you have trouble sleeping. And so I was unknowingly reading a lot of his stuff and didn't realise who he was at the time. And then it wasn't actually until 2011. It was November the 16th, 2011, that I went to the first Yes group in Essex. And that was when I was introduced to personal development. And I met a gentleman called Elliot Kay and Wilson Luna. And they were speaking on stage. And I was like, wow, there's a community of like-minded people. I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
And it was from there that I got introduced to Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas. And so I started to really sort of look to them as my inspiration, Jim Rohn. Then I found The Secret and I started to look into Law of Attraction, and a bit new age for me and a bit airy-fairy in some areas, but a lot of good things to take from it as well. And so, yeah, I started to look at Esther Hicks and I started to look at all that side of things. But for me, the people that keep it real, the people that I really respect, is not so much the people that I see on stage. It's the people that I see off stage.
Right.
For me, it's the people that are out in the community making the differences, you know? I mean, I look at my friends and I look at the people that I have around me. People like you, people like Ick, people like Anita, people like Harry Singer, people like all of the people in the community that are doing things that inspire me to do good things. And so for me, when you say who do I learn from my peer group. I learn from the people I hang around with.
Awesome. When you started out on your journey, did you have a lot of fear and limiting beliefs that...
Absolutely, I still do.
What sort?
I still do. I mean, absolutely. I think anyone that doesn't is either lying to you or lying to themselves. I mean, we're all scared of something. Anyone that says they're not scared of something, just they're either delusional or they're lying. Because I don't think it's about not being scared, but I think it's how you control the fear.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Tony Robbins says that fear can either be your counselor or your jailer. And I think for me personally now, it's about learning to how to deal with the fear. You know, there's being scared of something and having it freeze you, and there's being scared of something and doing it anyway. And that, like, to me, that's real courage. And so, yeah, I mean, limiting beliefs, the biggest limiting belief for me has always been around money. Right. Money and self-worth. mean, I don't believe myself to be anything special, anything good. A lot of people tell me that I'm really inspirational, motivational, but that's their opinion, and I've kind of taken that opinion on board because a lot of people have started to say it, but I don't feel like I'm anything special. I haven't done anything special. I'm just me. And yeah, self-worth has been a big thing. It's not until I started to get results for other people that I started to realize, and other people, what happened is I used to take on clients and I used to work with people that didn't value me.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is, because they didn't value me, I didn't value myself.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for not valuing me, because if I don't value myself, why should they?
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened is I started to work with better people, and I started to attract better people into my life. And so even though I didn't value myself, they valued me.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point that some people were like, I'm paying you for that. And I was like, no. And they were like, no, I'm paying you for that.
Yeah.
And they literally forced me to take money from them. That's how it used to be. I mean, that's how bad my money and my self-worth issues were.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is they raised my profile. They raised my vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a great example of that is my wife. And it's not one of the reasons why I married her, but it's one of the reasons why, you know, I know I'm with the right woman is because I did some work for her on her website.
Yeah.
And she made me charge her.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people are like, oh, it's your wife, you shouldn't charge your wife. And she was like, I want you to charge me full price. What's your rate? And so, went through and she's like, I'm paying you that per hour to work for me. That's your rate. And in doing that, when we finished, and she paid me a lot, I mean, I'm not going into the facts and figures, but she paid me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And to the point that it was more than 5 figures that she ended up paying me to build all her websites. And what she did at the end of it, this is where she's so clever, and this is why I think she's an amazing woman. She said, if you ever work for free again, then that is disrespectful to me because I valued you.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that you don't care about me if you'll go out there and work for free, because I paid you out of my money and I valued you. That's your worth. That's what you're worth. Charge it.
Wow.
And it's having her and people like that have raised me to a point that you can do so much on your own in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're around like-minded people, when you have a tribe and a community of people that raise your vibration, that genuinely care about you and are not doing it just to get money out of you, that are not doing it just to try and benefit themselves, when you have an unconditional relationship with, men and women that you're not intimate with, but you just have a loving relationship with people because you genuinely care about them, it makes you a better person. And that's what I've surrounded myself with. So yeah, absolutely. Of course I have limiting beliefs. Of course I have moments of doubt. But when I have moments of doubt, my wife's there. She slaps me, I mean, behind every great man is a woman that got him there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same for her, she has down days and I pick her up. And not just in that relationship, because it's not just about having a wife or a husband. It's about, I know with you, if I have a bad day and I'm like, Jonathan, man, I'm just having a really bad day. You're like, snap out of it. You'll cuddle me for so long, and then you'll just be like, okay,
get up.
Time to stop being a pussy. and that's what I love about us. And I'm the same, I mean, I remember when we went out for lunch and we were sitting there and we were jesting and we were playing, and it was like, when's the event? When's the event? And you were like, when's the book? Where's the book? And we pushed each other, and it was kind of like we set deadlines and we held each other accountable.
Yeah.
And I think I think you need that. You need that, because it's like when I was in the army, you can go out and do something on your own. You can go out and train every day on your own, but you will never push yourself as hard as a group of people will push each other.
Yeah.
You will always do something more you will always do more for other people than you will for yourself. Like, as human beings, like, when you get to that level of gratitude and service, I'm not talking about being a servant, but when you serve people, there's no higher feeling of self-worth and love and gratitude than being able to give something because you can.
Yeah.
And so when you can, as a community, when you can work together and when you give your all for other people, it's so much more than what you can give to yourself.
Definitely.
In my opinion.
No, definitely. I agree. That's something I've had so far with just coaching and training other people who express their gratitude. Is like, it's changed their lives. I was like, for me, it was something, because we know the training and the content, we kind of feel it's normal for us But
Yeah,
for other people
I'm
who's not
like that with
who's
my
not
work.
tapped into it, they'd be like, "Wow, it's so powerful." It's just like, oh,
It's
okay.
amazing, and this is why I love what you guys do. You know, because you are breaking limits. You know, you're taking people that have got limits, that have got limiting beliefs, that have got troubles, and you are that community. You have that tribe, and that you can't help it. But if you come into your environment, you will raise your vibration. You can't do anything else. You know.
Thank you. Awesome.
No, man.
That's awesome.
Like I said, man, it's brilliant.
What 3 tips and advice would you be able to give to the audience? Oh.
I hate free. But then again, I always strive for it. So here's the thing. The biggest thing I can say, and this is something I learned a while back and it's really good, is to get out of that free mindset. Because if you don't pay for something, you don't value it. Not in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to go to free events and try and network with people that were at free events because I always thought, I don't want to pay for it. And my partner at the time was quite happy to pay £2,000 to go to an event and to sit in a platinum lounge with other people that have paid £2,000 just to network with them people. And what I realised is that when I was at a free event, everyone had that free mindset, that scarcity mindset, and that mindset of not wanting to pay for anything.
Yeah.
When she could actually walk into a room of people and just close them like that because they were pre-sold. You know, money wasn't. Get out of scarcity. Get away from scarcity. Get away. You know, if you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, I need clients. Go and get a job. Go and work in McDonald's and pay your rent. Do it that way." And then at night, after you get back from your job, be Batman. You know, go out, work another 5, 6, 7 hours on your passion, on your entrepreneurship, until it gets to the point that you can give up your job. I'll never tell anyone to give their job up to chase their dreams. I think, yes, you should absolutely chase your dreams, but do it in a sustainable way. If you want to give everything up and burn all your bridges and go for it and it works for you, then absolutely amazing. But for most people, they end up in scarcity and lack, and they end up in a worse position because when you come from a place of fear, and this is where I'm saying about fear controlling you.
Yeah,
it comes across in everything you do. You come across desperate. You end up with, and I'll give you, this is some free advice I'll give you. There is something worse than having no clients. There is a worse place than having no clients, and that is having the wrong client. Because if you have no clients, then you can work on yourself and you can get clients and you can do whatever it is you need to do to get clients.
Yeah.
But if you have the wrong client, they are going to take your time. They're going to take your energy.
Yeah.
They're going to talk badly about you. They're going to damage your reputation, and ultimately they can destroy your business. At least if you have no clients, then you're just there. Okay? You're not going to lose your business because you've got no clients. You're just not going to get any business. But the fact that you could destroy your business by having the wrong type of person.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say for everyone, and this is what I say in what I do in my business, and I say in, you know, anything else as well, is first of all, look at where you are in your life. Okay, look at where you are and look at what you've got. And if you haven't got anything, it's bullshit. Everyone's got something. If you've got air in your lungs, you've got the ability to talk, then you've got the ability to do something. It is not about the resources that you have. It is the resourcefulness. It's not what you've got, it's what you do with what you've got. That's how I get upgraded for free on flights. That's how I end up in the places I end up when I get into the platinum lounges. And okay, it's not because I pay for the tickets. I could, but at the time I couldn't. But I still got backstage. I still get all the, you know, all the interactions with things that I get. It's because of how I am, and it's because of working with what I've got. And so, I would say first of all, look at what you've got. Work with that. I would then say that look at who you are. Okay, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And not who do you want to be now, but who do you want to be in 6 months? And then be that person. You know, start acting like that person. If you want to be someone who, and this is one of the things like people that say, I want to diet. Don't diet. No one should ever diet. You shouldn't go on a diet. I don't believe dieting is a good thing because it's not sustainable. A diet is a short-term solution to try and overcome a problem. But here's the thing. When you finish your diet, because it's temporary, go back to eating. So don't go on a diet, just change your lifestyle. Change your lifestyle, just eat better. Make better choices. And just adopt that as your new lifestyle. And be the person that you want to become. And do it in a way that you're happy. There's no point being really healthy and miserable. So I would say that the first thing you need to do is look at who you are. who do you want to become, and then just start putting reverse engineer it and start doing the things you need to do. I'm going to use healthy again. If you know that you want to be healthy, then maybe you need to go and walk once a week, and then maybe you need to, in a month's time, walk twice a week. Whatever you need to do to put the milestones in place to get you to where you need to be. And I would say that in business as well. Because once you know who you are, once you know where you want to go, then you can look at who you need to attract into your life. I'm talking about not just in friends, in peer groups, but as in clients, so you can attract the right client.
Yeah.
And then you can work with them to get you there quicker. And I think that's one of the most important things. And then you can look at the other things that you need. But that, I would say, is the starting point. And I think even if you know that, it's still good to revisit it. So, once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a year, just to take stock of where you are. Every year, I do it's almost like an appraisal of the year. I look back at the year and say, right, what happened in that year?
Yeah.
Did I achieve my goals? How did this go? What was my highlights? What was my pain points? Did I overcome them? Did I learn? And what can I do coming into the next year?
Mm-hmm.
I don't do resolutions. I just set goals and I say, right, this is what I want to achieve this year. This is how I'm going to do it. I reverse engineer it and say, right, that's the plan. And I work to that. And I design my life to how I want it.
Well, there's so many people out there that doesn't know who or what they are, or even revisit what they've achieved in a year.
I don't know who I am. Now, I'm me, I get that. But I mean, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5-10 years' time. Someone asked me earlier, someone turned around to me earlier and said, where are you going to be in 5 years? And I was like, that's a great question. But I mean, I look forward. Of course I look forward and I plan, but who knows? I set goals,
yeah,
and I have dreams and I have aspirations and visions, but they're flexible. Mm-hmm. Because things change. Shit happens.
Yeah.
And if things are so concrete that I drive to them and that doesn't happen, I'm disheartened. And I don't want to feel that. So for me, it's not so much about the end goal, it's about how I get there. To me, it's all about the journey. And I may not be a millionaire, but I live a millionaire lifestyle. I have a lifestyle business. I have a lifestyle that I love and I enjoy. I get to do and be and go to all the places that I want to go. I get to do all the things I want to do. And this is one of those examples. When I look at entrepreneurs, and I'm going to use London and entrepreneurs as an example, there's different types of entrepreneurs. There are the people that work from home and they sit in their bed all day on their laptop. And I do it. We all do it. We have those sort of people. You then have the entrepreneurs that go into an office, okay, and they work in an office environment. Great. You then have the type that, like the Starbucks generation, the ones that go to Costa Coffee or Starbucks and they all work from the cafes and they all you'll just go from Wi-Fi zone to Wi-Fi zone. We all know them, we all do it. And I think that's good. If you're going into town, that's great for a meeting or something. But I know people that live like that. Their office is Starbucks. Mm-hmm. You've then got people using these incubators or tech hubs or collaborative spaces, and they work in these environments. And then there's me. And I do things a little differently. Because if you come for a meeting with me, we'll have it in the Savoy, the Dorchester, the Ritz, Claridge's, the Langham. I work from these places. Now, there's no difference between going into the Langham and going into Starbucks. Mm-hmm. You can walk into both of them for free. You can sit down and order a coffee. Granted, in the Langham, it's going to cost you 20 quid for a coffee, but you're paying for the ambience. You're paying to be in that environment.
Yeah.
And it's like I said earlier, the environment dictates your mood, which dictates the settings, which dictates how you are and who you are. Mm-hmm. When I'm in that environment, I feel wealthy. It's a good environment to be in. And when I take clients there, they feel wealthy. And so our mindset's different. So when we're doing a strategy session in that environment, we're on a high frequency.
You're thinking bigger.
Absolutely. And we're striving to things that we wouldn't necessarily strive to if we're sitting in McDonald's. And so for me, that's how I work. And that's what I do now. And it's got to the point now when I sit with clients, we don't just go in there for coffee anymore. We go and have lunch and we sit down and, we hire out rooms there and we can do the things that we want to do on that higher level because I've built that. Mm-hmm. But when I started, I just used to go in there and I just used to talk to the staff. And here's the thing, and this is what I'll tell you. There's a lot of people with money or that are from class who look down their nose at people.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that work here, They're just like you and me, you know, we're all human. They have a job. They don't want to be looked down to. They don't want to be talked to like shit. So when you go in there and you relate to them, you know, when people bring over like on a silver tray your cup of tea, and I'm like, oh no, man, I'll take that. Don't be silly. Would you like sugar? I do, mate. I'll do it. Don't worry, relax. You know, because I'm normal. You know, I don't need a silver spoon up my ass. Yeah. And so because they're normal and I'm normal, we have rapport. And so when I go into these places, they recognise and remember me, and so I get a service that you don't get normally. You know, I get looked after. And then my clients get looked after, and we have a good experience and we have good memories. Why save up to go to these places when you can live there every day? And so I'm not saying that I live there every day, because if I had a beautiful office in Trafalgar Square in London, beautiful office, and I used to go there every day, and I'd take a client in, and the client would be like, wow, this is amazing, and I'd be like, meh, because you get used to it.
Yeah.
And so it's not about having it all the time, but it's about appreciating it and being able to step in and out. And so that's one of the important things I do, and that's why I'm saying you should always take stock of your environment.
So making choices of how you surround yourself again.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, when I was homeless, I had choices. I could have sat on the street and busked. I didn't. I wasn't that type of homeless. I lived in a car for 6 months. I used to get on the train. I used to jump the barrier on the train. I'm not saying it's right, I really should do it, but it's what I did. And I used to go on the train, and I would go up and down on the line because, you know, once you're on the train, you're on the train. It wasn't ticket inspectors. And so I would just do that. And then when the train stopped running, I'd go in a casino. And I didn't look homeless. I always kept £5 on me. So when I went into a casino, I could change it into chips. I could walk around a casino till 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, a casino used to give you free tea and coffee and sandwiches to keep you in there. And I know where I'd rather be with my £5 worth of chips. I'd rather be in a casino getting food and tea, walking around aimlessly. But I was bored, but at least I was, you know. And then I'd get back on the train and I'd sit on the train all day. So even though I was homeless, I wasn't sitting there with a sign up saying, help me.
You was being using your resource, being resourceful.
You know, you could walk, I'm not saying you should, but you could walk into a London hotel, a nice one, and you can sit down, eat the continental breakfast and walk out again. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing to do, but when you're surviving and you're on the street, you do what you need to do. And so I would always find a way. And I knew that I couldn't live like that.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that it wasn't sustainable. And so I'd always find a way to overcome that, to the point that, and is it all right if I share?
Yeah, go for it.
At an event, the event I went to, I said at the beginning something happened at an event and it changed everything. It was a Millionaire Mind Intensive. So it was a T. Harv Eker event, and it was in 2011. And it was December. It was December the 2nd to 4th. You know, I remember these things because they had a big impact in my life emotionally. Yeah. And so I was so financially poor at the time that I could not afford to put petrol in my car. I had a car, I paid like £300 for this car. It was a really banged out car, and I could not afford to put petrol in it to get me to London, so I had to drive to London on fumes.
Wow.
I couldn't afford to get the train, and so I had to drive, but I couldn't afford to put petrol in to make sure I got there and back. I had to leave, even though the event didn't start till 9 in the morning, I had to leave at 4 in the morning to avoid the congestion zone because I couldn't afford to pay for it. And I didn't want the fine. I literally got to the Ibis at Earls Court on fumes, rolled into the hotel car park, didn't know how I was going to get my car back out, put my car there, and as far as I was concerned, that was it. My car was gone. I didn't have a car anymore because I didn't know how to get it back out or get it home. But I was like, I was so set, like I had this tunnel vision, and I was like, I am going into this event and I am not leaving unless my life has changed. Like I didn't have a clue how. I was delusional to the point when I was kind of like saying to myself, my life's going to change. I'm going to come out of this event with money somehow. I don't know how. And so I went and did the first day, and I was like, personal development, first event, you know, and I was sitting down, I was like, right, I'm ready to go. And I sat at the front. I managed to upgrade our ticket from standard to VIP. I blanked it, I know. But, you know, do what you can. And so I was sitting, I was at the front, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm like, I am so ready. And my life is going to change. Let's go. And then the end of the first day, everyone's like, right, come back tomorrow. And I was like, you what? Come back tomorrow? No. I can't. No, I need it now. And my life needs to change now. And I was like, this is bullshit. what? What? Huh? And I went up to the stage and I went up to the guy and I was like, no, mate, I can't come back tomorrow. And it was a gentleman called Marcus de Maria and he was on stage and he said, you have to. You know, you got to come. I was like, no, my life needs to change now. I don't have anywhere or anything. He goes, look, you have to. And so I was like, oh, man. And I remember I slept in my car in a hotel car park that night.
Wow.
And it wasn't, I mean, some people must have heard about it because the next day, some people, they got together and they chipped in and they got me a hotel room.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I cannot accept that. And we were learning about gratitude. And one of the things we were learning is that if someone wants to give you a gift and you say no, then what's happening is you're denying them the opportunity to feel good. You're denying them the opportunity to feel grateful for helping you. And so I was like, shit. People are trying to give me a gift. I can't say no. I don't want to accept it. And I was really stuck in this. And so I said, look, I can't take a hotel room, but what I'll do is sleep on your hotel room floor. And they were like, okay. And so we had this compromise. And they're my best friends. And like my kids, literally, they live in Oxford. I go up and spend time with them. They spend time with me. Families will, you know, it's like my brother. We spend a lot of time together. And I tell you what it is, mate. What's happened is that changed everything for me. What happened is I saw everybody at that event going in and out for a break.
Yeah.
Like you do when you're at an event, you go for a break, and people would go out, they go to the toilet, they get a cup of tea, they come back in, they'd learn, they go to the toilet, go and have a cup of tea, you know, and they come back in and learn. And it was just this repetitive thing of everybody going back and forth. And I was like, no, I have to do something different. There's a lot of people doing the same thing there. There's a lot of people doing the same thing, and if I do that, I'm going to be competing with them. And they're all after the same thing. They all want to change their lives. How can I be different? And I sat there, and everyone went for a break, and I sat there, and they went, you've got to clear the room. And I said, I can't. I'm thinking I need to change my life. And it just clicked, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do. So I run up onto the stage during the break, and I ripped a sheet off of the flip chart. And if you've been to MMI, or if you know about it, they use these props, which are these jars. And one of the jars is like an educational jar. And it's all about you putting money into this and dividing up your finances and putting money into your education and investing in yourself and improving your education. So I took this education jar, I took this sheet off this flip chart, I got this pen and I put, can build websites, will work for my education.
Wow.
And I went sat outside the VIP entrance and I just busked.
Wow.
And I probably got about 200 business cards. There's about 1,000 people at the event.
Wow. And
everyone started talking, going, that's the guy that was... I also got about 20 quid. And that £20 got my car out the car park and got me home. I knew I was going to make some money, I just didn't know how. And so that started, and when I left that event, I got my first client, my first proper client, for building a website.
So that's how your journey started?
That's how my journey started in 2000. No, I'd built websites before, and I'd actually built websites for clients before. I'd done a paid gig before that, but it was only as part of the other business that I had. This was the start of my journey as a website developer, and so I left at that point, and I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do websites. And so from 2011 to now, because I mean, even today, I still fully immerse myself in online and teach and learning. I'm always learning, to the point that I know what you need before you know, because that's my job. My job is to stop you crashing into the wall and to make your life easier and to give you the tools to help you so that you can focus on your business and not kind of in it. And so that's it. I spent from 2011 to 2014 just fully immersed in every platform, in everything I could learn, and I just absorbed everything. I taught myself everything properly. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this, and I put in my 10,000 hours. And I beat upon my craft, and I swear to God, I was doing 20-hour days. I was falling asleep on my laptop, waking up, coding, going to sleep, waking up, coding.
I remember I was talking to you about like 2, 3 a.m. You the next morning you're supposed to speak at an event or something at Les Brown.
Oh yeah, and I was still working the night before. And even at the event, I was still like doing other things. And people were like, shouldn't you be worrying about your speech? And I'm like, oh man, when I was at Les Brown, and I'm not suggesting you do this, I didn't know what I was going to say when I got on stage. Until I got on that stage, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Because when I talk, it comes from here. I don't script what I'm going to... Like I said to you earlier, you said before this, are there any points you want to cover? And I was like, man, Let's just do it. See what happens.
Yeah, Les Brown. I always did. Well, when I saw you, you was running around doing AV. You was running around doing security. You was going through everything.
What I do comes from in here. I've ingrained it. Like what I do, I am good at what I do because I've spent so long doing it. I don't need to rehearse this. I've been rehearsing it for years. I can jump. I was always taught that when you speak on stage, you should always have a talk in your back pocket in case the tech fails. Because if you go to an event and you rely on slides and the projector breaks, what do? You panic. You're like, oh my God, I haven't got any slides. So I can stand on stage with nothing, with no microphone. I can stand on a stage and I can present with anything.
Because it comes from the heart.
Because I'll make shit up. But I'll do it in a way that adds value. When I talk about anything, I'll have 1 or 2, maybe 3 bullet points of things I want to cover, so that when I waffle, because I do, I'll bring myself back on point. And as long as those 3 bullet points will have one outcome. Like for your audience, like before I come on this call, I was like, right, what do I want to do on this call? What's my outcome for this call? And it was like, I want to inspire and I want to motivate people. How am I going to do that? Okay, we're going to talk about my story. I'll talk about this, this, and this, and then we'll just see where it goes. And that's what I do, man. I mean, I don't. The more I practice, the more nervous I get. The more scripted it is, the more I worry things can go wrong.
Because you keep worrying about what you're going to say next on the script. That's not on the script, or what's on the script.
The thing. No one knows what I'm about to say, which means I can't say anything wrong.
Yes.
So we always hold ourselves to a higher standard. I mean, I demand more from myself than anyone else could ever expect. And I still do the 20-hour days. I still put them in because I'm working so hard with so many people to help them that it's just like I don't consider this as a job. It's not work. This is my passion. I love it. I love helping people, and I want to do it. The money is just a byproduct from that.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the biggest click for me, is when I stopped being scared, when I stopped doing things from fear, when I stopped doing things out of, I need money, I started to attract better clients. And then I actually managed to let go of a lot of the clients that weren't serving me. And it's interesting how that, like, there was learning, growth. learning, growth. And it's like there's a plateau, and then a spike, and then an adjustment, and then a spike. And I see it all the time.
Wow.
All the time with so many businesses, they all go through these patterns. And I'd have to be stupid now not to be able to realise and see and recognise and preempt these patterns for people.
Brilliant. So if our audience wants to reach out to you, even though you're so busy, where could they find your work?
I did a talk last night at an event in London, and after the event, it was a good talk. Everyone loved it, and afterwards, people were coming up to me saying, "I want you to build my website," and I was like, "I can't. Like, I physically don't have enough hours in a day. I'm booked out for the next 6 months. I can't I don't have the time." And that's one of the reasons that I wrote my book. Was because by writing my book, it was kind of like I can give people my experience and my knowledge without giving my time. And it's not that I don't want to give my time, it's just it's already booked out. And so I would say that if you want to reach out and connect with me, the best thing you can do is check out my book. The book is available in many different ways. Amazon, it's called Plan Your Website. You can go on to Amazon, you can go onto my website, planyourwebsite.co.uk. You can even get the first chapter for anyone here that's listening as a gift for your people. If you go to planyourwebsite.co.uk/free-gift, then you can have the first chapter. And do you know what? I don't even want to name an email address. It literally is a gift.
Awesome, thank you.
They can go and get that. But the best way to connect with me is through my website. When you're on that website, there's a little chat box in the bottom right-hand corner. That is the best way to get through to me.
Thank you.
And apart from that, I mean, I'll always help as many people as I can, and I'll do what I can to help people. And if people have got questions, I would say, I'll be in your forum and on your community, and like if you can add me to your Facebook group,
definitely.
And people have got questions, like what I love to do is I don't like people reaching out to me in private messages, and the reason I don't like that is because if you reach out to me in a private message and I respond to you, you're the only person who's benefited from that. I would much rather we do it in a public forum where you ask a question and I can answer it for everyone to see. And that way it benefits everyone.
Yeah.
So I'll be hanging around on your site. So if you want to add me to that and anyone's got questions, then absolutely I'll do my best to answer there.
Awesome. So, one final advice that you would give.
One final bit of advice. I know I'm going to be successful because I am running out of things to do wrong. That's a quote by Napoleon Hill.
Wow.
And what I would say to anybody out there is just fucking do it. Just do it. I fail more than most.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I make more mistakes than anyone else I know. But what I've learned to do is recover quicker. So I make a lot of mistakes, but then I know what not to do. And because I'm running out of things to do wrong, I know I'm going to be successful. So just get out there and fail. Fail hard, fail fast, learn a lot, recover, be successful.
Awesome. So that's when they say fail forward, isn't it?
I think we're failing as long as you learn from it. If you keep making the same mistake, then maybe you need to word with yourself. Or word with you guys for you to help them. But yeah.
But at least they know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with making mistakes. And I think it's that fear of making mistakes that holds people back. That fear of rejection, that fear of failure.
Yeah.
Fuck failure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Steve, for your time. I'm very grateful that you could give so much value and inspire the audience that we have.
Well, I mean, I hope it does. I hope they like it. I mean, I'd love to hear feedback. If people listen to this, if you listen to this, reach out. Let me know what you think. You know, I love nothing more than people massaging my ego. It's great. No, I'm joking, but I love to know that how I can improve. So if there's anything that you want me to improve, let me know, because I'm always open to feedback. But also, if you've got nice things to say, of course I want to hear them. Why wouldn't I? And also for the guys as well, because like you guys do an amazing job.
Thank you.
You know, and that's why I want to make myself available for you guys, is because I love what it is you do. We are the next generation of entrepreneurs that are going to lift up the generations to come, mm-hmm. and guide them through the shit in the world so that they can focus on the good things.
On what they love, right?
To do that.
Yeah, definitely. Focusing on what they love to do.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you, Steve, again for coming on.
Jonathan, thank you, man. Take care. Appreciate it.
Take care.